Protesters shut down a Bank of America branch in East Hampton, New York. More than a dozen activists from Occupy the East End took over the bank. An organizer said this was in retaliation for the millions of home foreclosures and the, quote, suffering it causes around the country. The group Women Occupying Wall Street met in New York City to stand up against the war on women. They organized the first Feminist General Assembly on May 17th. More than 300 women attended. At the top of the agenda, forming feminist goals for the Occupy movement. Here's a win for activists and journalists. A counterterrorism provision within the National Defense Authorization Act has been blocked by a federal judge on the grounds it could violate the First Amendment. Language within the law currently allows the U.S. military to detain anyone indefinitely without charges simply because they are suspected of supporting terrorists or associated forces. A group representing reporters and civil liberties advocates filed a lawsuit against the provision in March. Several media correspondents had to stop talking to their contacts in the Middle East for fear of violating the provision. And there's lots of news coming out of Chicago this weekend. Thousands of nurses and other protesters gathered at a downtown plaza and demanded a Robin Hood tax on banks' financial transactions. Days later, thousands of demonstrators participated in anti-NATO protests. Here's Caroline Briggs with the details.
American demonstrators tasted the militarized might of NATO Sunday as thousands of activists gathered in Chicago. Decked-out riot police even outnumbered the very large crowd of protesters. Clashes with billy clubs and bare fists rained on the demonstrators. Tensions boiled over as police were eager to show off their inflated numbers and equipment. Though official numbers vary, thousands of protesters marched, but only 45 arrested and 2 police injured. Veterans for Peace took a stand not seen since Vietnam, service people throwing their medals away. 40 men and women denounced the U.S. military's aggression against innocent civilians.
From the Occupy movement here in the United States to, the kind of mass revolt that's being reflected in the Greek elections and French elections, a real sense of a sea change around the world where people have had enough of war, of atrocities, of poverty, of inequality, and are looking for something different.
For Occupy the Media, this is Caroline Briggs.